This week on episode 289 of the Cinema Psycho Show, John and I break down our favorite horror movies released over the past 15 years.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Carrington, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Quaff, quaff,
Quaff.
What is this background noise I hear? Are we by chance still at the Erie Horror Fest?
We might be still at the Erie Horror Fest.
You might be hearing this background noise for a lot of our spooky season episodes.
Well, not even just our spooky season episodes. This might be for, say, episodes in 2024.
Yeah,
because
who
we don't know
knows?
how many of these
Who knows
episodes.
how we space
yeah.
these out? You know, we're
Yeah.
going to be doing a lot of them.
A lot of them.
But yeah, we are actually looking at. We decided to say, well, you know, it's easy to say Rosemary's Baby or The Exorcist or any of the like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, any of the oldies but goodies. But we thought, why don't we take a look at? And Brian and I devised our own list of what we think are the best horror movies of just the past 15 years, which surprisingly, when I did the math, I don't know about you, but I was like 2008?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem that long ago, but it does seem like a lifetime.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And then, like, at the same time, you're just like, whoa. There's a lot of movies that came out in that time
amount
period.
of time, yeah.
A lot of movies. So, like, what was your methodology, John, for kind of coming up with your movies?
So it's so easy to like forget what has come out or like get the year wrong. So I literally Googled horror movies of the past 15 years.
I did the same thing.
And it's just like, okay, let's just just get a
glad
catalog
we did the
of
same
movies
thing,
and be like, yeah, okay. And then I started to I started with a big list and then narrowed it down.
Yeah.
And then narrowed it down. I got to top 6 because I just want to do one better.
Well, actually, I think I got 6 too.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when we were talking last night after we left Night of the Living Dead, you were like, yeah, I'm going to come in with my top 6. I'm like, I might do 5. But then in preparation, I was like, yeah, you know what? I got to do 6 too.
Execute Order 66.
Yes. So, I think it's worth saying that horror has kind of had some ebbs and flows over the past 15 or so years, right? Mm-hmm. Like coming out of the 2000s, you had, I guess not really revival, but just continuation of, the torture porn type movies. Like you had like Hostel 2 and, the Saw series and then transition to, the Japanese horror that really has just been remade for American audiences. And then, like, around this time period, 15 years ago, you start to see the rise of, like, A24, Blumhouse, and what I like to call, and what's been referred to by a lot of people as elevated horror.
Well, also don't forget the found footage craze.
Yes. I'd say the revival of the found footage craze.
Yeah.
Because in late 90s, that was the Blair Witch Project.
Right.
So it's like rediscovering that.
Yeah.
So... And that's isn't even talking like on the now current trend of. I saw one person say this today on I think it was on Threads, the Epic Film Guys podcast, which I follow them all the time. They're great guys that do a lot of what we do, and they refer to it as the requel horror movies, where it's like you're rebooting, but you're really just a sequel, like Hellraiser. What was the Halloween franchise, and now like the Exorcist franchise is getting this kind of like we're taking a little bit of this, but we're rebooting elements of it. So it's kind of a sequel, not quite, but reboot.
I've heard that. Yeah, there's talks of another Jason movie in
please,
chronology.
For God's sake.
So I guess like after he fell out of space, it's gonna pick up from.
How do you get in chronology? Like he flash forwards to like what 1,000 years in the future
in an alternate Earth. Or something.
I don't know.
Who cares? I kind of want to see it because I love train wrecks.
I guess so. I guess so.
Bring it on.
But
Jason 11.
I guess my point is like in 15 years, horror has changed a lot.
Yeah.
For the good and also for not so good.
Well, yeah, Brian, we saw a lot of like there was an easy to make movie.
Yeah.
And so they pumped them out year after year. Like, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw.
Which is why I won't see Saw X.
Yeah. Seesaw.
I won't see Saw X.
And then we had that was every year, and then there was a Paranormal Activity every year because
Yeah.
those were so easy and cheap to make.
Yes.
And those kind of flooded the marketplace, so
Yep.
to speak. So I'll be interested with your list here. I went as usual. I went the bougie route. I
went the bougie route.
I like thinking man's horror.
I picked a couple that were probably in the bougie route as well, but I also picked some that were a little on the my brain wavelength stuff. So yeah, I mean, you probably will be like, yeah, these are totally. And you can't look at my list over here, okay? Because we're on video, so for our YouTube folk.
For those who want to pause it real quick.
Those who want to pause it.
Oh, did you pause it?
It's over
Did you
here.
pause it? Yeah.
It's over here.
Yeah.
But you go ahead and start first, and you give me like
Okay.
your. I don't have them in any particular order. Did you put yours in a particular order?
I did. I did it from. I don't want to say least to best because these are obviously my sixth favorite of the past 15
Okay,
years.
fair enough.
But I do want to give some dishonorable mentions, so I just want to make half the audience hate me.
Mentions.
I think Ari Aster is a overrated schmuck. So I want to give a dishonorable mention to Hereditary and Midsommar. So I think we just got half of the list dropped off on us.
Might not like one of my picks.
Hey, to each their own. Every time I say this about people that I don't really like this guy, like they glare at me like, you know what, you suck.
I don't get it. Like, I don't get why people like get all up their ass about, like, oh, well, you don't like this director. It's like, everyone has their own, like, especially when it comes to horror, like everyone has their own kink of what type of horror they like, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. And the thing is that horror, we welcome everybody. We welcome everyone into our tent. Come on in.
It's cozy in
So yeah, you know what? I get. I don't get why people would be all up their ass if you don't like Ari Aster.
I was just say, well, on honorable mentions, and now that I just
Is
shit
this a
on-
dishonorable mention?
Well, no,
again?
this is an honorable mention.
Okay.
Because even though I just dissed his other two movies, I did like Beau is Afraid, his most recent movie.
I didn't see that one.
That is on my honorable mention.
I've yet to see that one.
The Witch, Cabin in the Woods, and It Follows. Those are just my honorable mentions. They were the ones that just didn't make the
They
list.
didn't make the list.
Yeah. But number 6 for me is probably the most recent movie. It is the most recent movie on the list, The Menu.
Such a good movie.
There is nothing not to enjoy about this. And like,
It's
Brian,
a fun movie.
you and I both like cooking quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's at first I was like thinking, I don't even care if this movie turns into a horror movie. I'm just appreciating all the food.
Well, I mean, for me, like The Menu was fun because it didn't take itself too fucking seriously.
Right.
Yeah. Like that's the thing is that you have certain horror movies that, for lack of a better term, like they get up their own ass, and they are kind of in the elevated horror. Now, obviously, when I get to my list, you'll be like, Brian, well, you just said you don't like that. It's like, well, no, I never said I didn't like it. I'm just saying that you got to be in the mood for it. I've said this before when it comes to movies, is that sometimes you want the greasy burger and not the filet mignon. And I kind of think that sometimes a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously is kind of like the greasy burger, but then more elevated horror, is the filet mignon, which has its place. But
Well, it's funny that you mentioned like very fancy food and cheeseburgers because that's kind of the movie.
That's literally the movie. But I love the actors in it. Even like actors that you didn't think would be important in a movie like this. Like what's her face from Who's the Boss?
Oh yeah.
Like she shows up in this as a supporting character, and everyone has like their own like time, and even she has her own little time in this. But it's a fun movie. It's a movie that I didn't think was going to be as good as it was based off the trailer.
Yeah. It was just like I think I would initially win because there was some positive reviews, and it was also like the only movie that came out that week. So I'm like, oh, yeah. And then after it was over, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I thought Barbarian was going to be my favorite horror movie of the year, and then this came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a satire that it doesn't go off the rails. It doesn't get to the point where you're like, this isn't believable anymore.
Yeah.
And so good on them for that.
Yeah.
Number 5 for me here, this is maybe my oldest one, maybe the next one, is Crimson Peak.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a solid one there. If you like Hammer films, boom. Crimson Peak right there.
And Del Toro just being able to just play.
Be Del Toro.
Yeah, just be himself.
Yeah.
And stay true to his roots. It is a slow burn, I would say. If you want,
Well, it's a gothic horror movie.
yeah.
Like that's the whole thing, and if you watch any gothic horror movie from the Hammer days, like they're all slow burns.
Yeah. So it's more thoughtful. So if you want, go watch from another one of our episodes we've done. Go watch Evil Dead if you want speed for things to
You're
never
just saying
slow
that
down.
because we just recorded an episode of Evil Dead, so it's fresh in your brain.
But yeah, interesting characters, beautiful as you get with a Guillermo del Toro. Easy for me to say.
Yeah.
Movie, just beautiful cinematography, beautiful settings, and you just get engrossed in the world. So
It's honestly that one's a ghost story, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So like it's very rare that you'll get a really solid ghost story because they're just not as. I don't think they're as visually interesting as say like demons and vampires and shit.
Yeah.
So like when you get one of those, it's rare that they're as good as this.
A lot of it is theater of the mind. It's
Yeah.
like, what was that noise, or something's doing something to somebody off that you can't see.
Yep.
It's like number 4, and I'm talking the original here.
I was gonna say I see your list now.
Yeah, Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
And there's something beautiful about stepping outside of our American comfort zone of not just horror movies but movies in general, and just seeing.
But John, you're asking me to read subtitles.
Ew.
Ew, gross. I don't want to read while I'm watching a movie. Aren't all movies in American?
Yeah. Why can't they make the movie in American? Well,
they did.
They did make the movie in American. If you really want to watch that.
Yeah.
But just like, it's very interesting to see something that is honoring the vampire genre but giving you something new at the same time.
And it's also one of those things that, and I wish more horror movies did this, but it's using kids in a horror movie. Like there's something naturally unsettling when you have children in horror type situations. Like think about like It and just any type of movie like what's the hell of the movie? There's one that I'm blanking on. But even like Children of the Corn, you know, like a lot of these movies where they're crazy kids or something. Whenever you have kids involved in a horror movie, it just amps up the creep factor. And this one's interesting because it's like, what if a vampire becomes friends with a human and there's a love kind of relationship there that, we would just take it as like, adolescent love, but it turns into something more where you realize like you get stuck with that vampire as the like familiar.
Yeah.
Forever.
Forever
and ever and ever. But I'll definitely tell you this.
Change me, Edward.
Well, I'll definitely tell you this. Like it's a fresh take on vampires.
Yeah.
And that's coming off the heels of Twilight. It's coming off the heels of even movies like I'm blanking on the other one. A lot of vampire movies that came before. There's one that was based in like Alaska.
Oh, 30 Days of Night.
30 Days of Night.
Yes, yeah.
Blanking.
And the thing is like, it's a nice fresh take on vampires without going absurd and losing your audience.
Yes.
And like, say something like Twilight. It's like, we don't burn up in the sun. We sparkle. It's like, fuck you.
Fuck you.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons to say fuck you to the Twilight series, but like, no. How about not?
Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Like, makes no sense.
Number 3, Black Swan.
Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah. Which he is very much a hit or miss director for me. He has made some of my favorite
Mother?
movies. Yeah, Mother's a piece of shit. I will fight anyone on that. That is the most
I've yet to meet
blatantly obvious.
I've yet to meet a single person who's been like, you know what? I really love Mother. Nobody loves Mother. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, the man, I think he thinks that like he's so subtle and nuanced when it's like he is so transparent it's not even funny.
Yeah.
About like, oh, wait a minute. So the upstairs is heaven.
Yeah.
And then Mother lives here on Earth on the first floor. And it's just like, okay, wow. Good job, Darren. Good job.
Darren, you got the Cliff Notes on philosophy. Good job.
Yeah. Darren, I made Requiem for a Dream. But I mean, I love The Wrestler. I love a lot of stuff. And I love Black Swan. Like, I love psychological horror, where it's
This
like
one very much is very much in the vein of that psychological horror that bleeds into the questioning whether what's real and what's not.
yes,
Which I think that's a special type of horror.
yeah. And this is like I think the only time I've actually been impressed by Natalie Portman ever.
Oh, come on.
Well, you know my disdain for Natalie Portman.
You have a disdain for Natalie Portman? I didn't know you have a disdain.
I think she's horrific.
Why?
As an actress.
Why are you saying that?
I've never once believed anything she's ever
Oh,
done, except
come
this movie.
on.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I know you didn't like her in the Thor movies.
Blah, 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 blah.
Science talk.
Yeah.
Space magic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
I
my
didn't know
Garden
you
State
did.
impression of her. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay.
I think a lot of that is Zach Braff. I don't think that's Natalie Portman. I think it's just Zach Braff's fantasy of
Pixie Dream Girl. that
yes,
you wanted.
yes, 100%.
Yeah. But this movie also, I have to say, like, a big thing for it in its favor is that they had millions of dollars to work from.
Well, it is Darren Aronofsky after all.
Where, like, a lot of independent horror movies, like, they just don't have this time or budget or actors, like A-list actors, to pull this kind of thing off. So, maybe I would, give certain up-and-coming directors this kind of budget and we'll see if Darren Aronofsky is really that much better than them or if it's just money and time.
Are you just saying, like, can independent directors pull off Natalie Portman turning into a black swan?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, and it, like, obviously it is Black Swan, but told through somebody's mental breakdown. Speaking of let the right one in, this feels very European horror to me.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that's partially the coloring.
Mhm.
Like, the coloring in both of these movies is very stark. Like, like really, and then also like just washes of color. But yeah.
And that mental break, and it's like life is fiction is now becoming reality, but what is real and what isn't, and is there something supernatural happening here, or is it just complete mental disturbance? So yeah, it does.
Do you think it was really happening to her, or do you think it was all mental?
I think it was in her mind, but I think what's beautiful about it is that you don't have to decide.
Yeah.
It can be either, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to try to decide if Tom Atkins got the last channel off in Halloween 3.
He didn't. We were talking about that on the drive over. We're just like, do you think he really got the last channel off? It's like, no, he didn't. He got the affiliate off. He didn't get it. He didn't get it all.
Well, on this very podcast, Tom said, yep, I got the channel off. I saved all the kids. So, straight from the horse's mouth, I guess.
I would also say that character was drunk half the time. So like, his perspective might be warped.
3 packs a day, red meat,
red
whiskey, and beer.
Yeah.
But number 2 is, and this is why The Witch was in my honorable mentions, because I just didn't want to put the same director twice.
Yeah.
And that's The Lighthouse.
That's a good one.
I saw this movie and I think I just went on to Facebook and I went, who has seen Lighthouse? Immediately talked to me about it. I need to talk to everyone about this movie now.
That's one of those, that is an elevated horror. Like, I think you can say that one because it's black and white, and most modern horror isn't done in black and white unless you're going for the snobby snob film twag type.
Yeah.
But that one in particular does so much with atmosphere that I've seen in any other horror movie since.
Yeah.
Like, atmosphere specifically.
And I tend to like when movies lay out the rules so I can, like, it makes it a little more enjoyable for me that I know what the parameters of things are.
Yeah.
But this movie, you don't know if this is all in Willem Dafoe's head. You don't know this is all in Robert Pattinson's head. You don't know what's real, what's not real. And, and everything's a metaphor. And I'm like, oh, no, but that works. And basically, it's 2 men suffering through their toxic masculinity inside a metaphor of a giant penis.
You got that out of it.
Yeah, they just live in a giant cock.
I guess if you think about it, like Robert Pattinson really just wanted to fuck that octopus.
Yeah.
Just really wanted to fuck the octopus.
And so, yeah, and my mom, she's like, well, you really like that movie. Should I watch it? I'm like, prepare. You have to be in the right
mood. Your face just now is just like, oh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
For those of us not watching the video.
Wow.
I'm like, I think she would like it, but I want to be like, Mom, you have to prepare for it.
Yeah.
You have to be in the right state of mind, and you have to not have any distractions. Don't have your phone. And for her, put on the subtitles because she can't hear shit. and really pay
I
attention.
watched that movie because that was a pandemic watch for me.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, that was one that, like, when the whole world was on fire, it's like, well, I'm going to watch movies because that's comfort. And, this was when I watched, and it was when I started, like, at night, and I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to watch half of it and then pick it up, like, the next day.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that with this one.
Yeah.
I had to watch the whole way through because the feeling of dread in this one just kept me locked in. And you've got fantastic acting from, Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. And Jesus Christ, Willem Dafoe in any movie is awesome, but in this one, he's just terrifying.
And you know what bugs me about movies? Nobody ever farts in movies, and it bugs me because people fart. But in this movie, Dafoe is a gassy son of a bitch.
He is a gassy son of a bitch.
And I'm like, finally, a movie that has farts in it. I've been waiting my whole life.
It only took you over 100 some odd years with
and
film being around.
I didn't think it was going to be this cerebral ass movie.
No,
and I would say my favorite thing about it is, and if you have seen it, let's talk. Is that this movie is the kind of movie that you want to have a discusussion after seeing it.
So you mean you don't just like sit there and let it wash all over you like a moron?
Yeah.
You actually have to like pay attention and watch the movie.
It's like a book club kind of thing. It's like movie club. Like, let's watch The Lighthouse, and we'll all say our different theories on what was happening and what was going on.
So for those of you who are listening or watching us on video, come to our Discord channel and tell us whether you think that The Lighthouse was really a giant penis or not.
Yeah, two men living inside of a giant penis in their own toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And of course, number one, I feel so predictable, but how can you not say Get Out?
I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. I mean, that's. I would say if you had to summarize like the best movies of the past 15 years, Get Out has to be at the top.
Yeah, I mean, just even movies in general. Like, we're talking about horror movies specifically, but I would put this on a top 5 probably of the past 15 years, regardless of genre.
Well, I mean, it's got a lot of, I'd say, revolutionary things associated with it. Prior to Get Out coming out, everyone thought of Jordan Peele as a comedian.
Yeah, which is a good comedian.
Which was a great comedian. Like, Key and Peele was hilarious.
Yeah.
But everyone thought of him as a comedian. And I remember when we were talking about this on the podcast back when we were doing news.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how long ago. And we mentioned that Jordan Peele was having a new movie come out called Get Out. And we're just like, I don't know how good that's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be so goofy.
It's going to be
scary
goofy
movie
and not really scary. And we thought it was going to be a scary movie. So, to our surprise, it ended up being really, really fucking good.
Yeah.
And giving you some visuals like her stirring the tea and him falling into that void is terrifying. That's a terrifying sequence. And you couple that with some actual like social commentary about race. It's in a horror movie, and it's not like preachy, but it also is like very much as in your face. Was really nice and refreshing.
Well, what I like about this movie too is it's not what I call clapter, where you make a movie for a specific audience that is already agrees with you.
Right.
Like what Jordan Peele is doing is challenging you in a way that maybe you haven't actually looked at things.
Yeah.
And like, oh no, what I thought I was doing as a good white was like backwardsly anti-productive. And so like he challenges you, and he just doesn't give you exactly what you want to hear. And I do love that he said, I'm a black filmmaker and I make films for people of color. And like, if you're white and you want to come see it, great, but I don't make the movie for you. And I'm like, that's beautiful
great
thing to hear in this country.
Well, like when we reviewed The Blackening, that was one of the things that we said made it work, was that it was not made for us.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The whole concept that you have to make a movie for everyone is bullshit.
Or just mostly cater to a white audience.
Yeah.
White
There's
males.
nothing wrong with making a movie that's geared towards a very specific audience of people that maybe don't get the representation in their films to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get like, this is what your actual life is like. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think more filmmakers should do that. Is it going to be the most lucrative thing? Maybe, maybe not. Clearly with Get Out, it was.
Yeah.
Right?
And I don't know if I put Jordan Peele on a pedestal after that movie, but like Well, I don't think he's made a bad movie. I just don't think his 2 follow-ups.
He's not the Shyamalan
Oh
version.
God, no.
He's not him.
No, but Us and Nope haven't lived up to Get Out.
I like Nope. Us, not so much, but
Yeah.
Nope, I actually did enjoy.
Like I said, it wasn't a bad movie.
It's a monster movie.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was. I was like, you know what? It's Jordan Peele's take on a monster movie, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. But anytime I see like the new movie from Jordan Peele, I'm gonna go, no matter what, I'm gonna get excited.
Yeah.
So
And it's honestly one that I will see in theaters. Like I saw Nope in theaters specifically because I was like, well, it's a Jordan Peele movie. I'd rather see it.
yeah.
Good list.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
solid list. Really solid list. All right, so what I got, I don't really have them in any particular order.
Okay.
But I'll start off with one that I don't think you mentioned, and that is Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. It was hard.
I know
not-
it was on your.
It was on my
It
honorable.
was on your honorable mention.
mentions,
But
Yeah.
So I love Cabin in the Woods because it presented me something that I thought was going to be predictable.
Mhm.
Like I went into this movie when I initially screened, and I was like, "This is completely predictable." Whatever, and it completely took that prediction and flipped it on its head and became basically a homage to horror movies from the 80s.
Yeah.
And I love that so much.
I think this is the best horror satire
Yes.
since Shaun of the Dead.
Yes, I would put that in the same thing. I think Shaun of the Dead's number one.
Yeah.
But I
It-
would say this one
yeah.
comes in number 2.
Because it's from people that actually love what they're laughing at, so
Yeah.
to speak. Like,
Yeah.
and that's it was in our Mel Brooks episode we talked about that. Like Mel Brooks is mocking things that he loves, which when it's coming from a place of liking,
Yep.
then that makes it so much. That is my constant problem I have with Scrooge. Is it just seemed like the creators hated Christmas, hated holidays, hated the audience, and it's just
I
like
love Scrooge.
ugh. Yeah.
I love Scrooge.
We talked about it.
We
Check it
did.
in our archives if you want.
I think that was last year's Christmas episode.
Oh God, no! I think it might have been 2.
Was it 2? Oh,
2 or
damn,
3?
The years blend together, man.
And all the years blend together. But yeah,
I mean, for me, Cabin in the Woods was a great, almost like a sampler plate of your favorite horror tropes
yeah,
presented to you in a way that was new and fresh. Like the whole idea of that office setting and they're the ones really controlling all this, and how
Yeah.
every horror movie really is just a sacrifice to the gods.
Yeah.
Like that shit was so fucking hilarious that I was just like, I got to keep watching this. Now you could say well, Brian, you don't like Scream, and Scream's kind of meta shit. And it's like, yeah, whatever. But this,
so beautifully dismissive, Brad.
no, I mean, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it because it paid reverence to those subgenres of horror. It paid reverence. You literally had Pinhead, who was Sawhead instead.
yeah.
And the whole idea of taking bets on what monster's going to come out next, that sort of stuff was great. And even the ending where it becomes very realistic of this is what's happening, and the hero of the movie is the stoner, who
I mean,
usually is the one who dies first.
He brings about the end of the world, though.
Yeah, well, there is that.
Yeah, this movie is kind of like a charcuterie board of.
It's a
of
smorgasbord.
horror. Yeah, it's like a little bit of
sampler.
goat, little Parmesan.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got your Pennywise ripoff. You got your Pinhead ripoff.
But it's fun.
Did you know at the end it was not supposed to be Sigourney Weaver? It's supposed to be Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh my god, that would have been great.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. But
yeah.
so that was my number one. Well, not this
There's no
first
order.
on my list.
Yeah.
I did have Get Out
Okay.
for
Yeah.
obvious reasons, which you already talked about.
Yeah.
I saw that movie with my wife at the time when we were dating, and we both were just and my wife is very much she won't invest time in a movie if it isn't worth the time. So she's not
I wish
me.
I could be that way.
She's
Yeah.
not me. She's very discerning. But that was when she was just man, came out of it this was really good, to the point where we went and saw Us, and we were we didn't like it that much.
Yeah.
Not compared to Get Out, but Get Out was really had an effect on me of this is what you can do with a horror movie that's trying to say something.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with movies that are trying to say something, but it's how do you deliver it that people can then take it in and actually understand it. So I really love that one. I have Hereditary on here.
Okay.
And here's
Okay,
what I'm
yeah.
here's what I'm going to say why I have Hereditary on here. 2 reasons. One, I just recently watched it for the first time, probably in the past couple months.
You're never gonna let one of your kids put their heads out the window ever
Fuck
again,
no.
are you?
Fuck no. Fuck no. So I knew about this movie for the longest time. Everyone was telling me, like, oh my God, it's the scariest movie of all time.
Yeah.
First of all, fuck those people. Anyone who says that any movie is the scariest movie of all time doesn't know what the hell they're talking about.
But they're also building it up too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's no movie that's the scariest movie of all time. I don't care what you're saying. If you tell me The Exorcist is the scary movie of all time, that's not true. Because what's scary to you might not be scary to me. I watch The Exorcist and I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's nice, good.
My uncle, when he saw Halloween, he slept with a gun under his bed for like 5 weeks after he saw it. I was never scared of Halloween. I just thought it was a very well-paced horror movie.
Yes.
But I'm like, nothing here is really scary to me.
No. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like anyone says, oh, it's the scariest movie of all time.
Yeah.
But anyway, like everyone and their mother says that Hereditary is like the best horror movie in the 2000s, up till current. Okay. I wouldn't go that far. I'd say it's an artfully done movie that shows
Most certainly. Yeah.
dread in a way that really doesn't rely on things like specific monsters. It's more about like the horror of this family specifically. So like that's the sort of thing that I like about it. And there are clearly moments that are very terrifying. Like the moment, and terrifying from like a real sense, like when the daughter's head does get like chopped off.
Yeah.
And you hear the blood-curdling scream of the parents finding the body in the back of the car after in the morning because the brother was a dick and just was like, yeah, I'm in shock.
He was in shock. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, but like I'm gonna leave the dead body there.
Yeah.
Not I'm gonna tell my mom and cry and say like that sort of. But he just leaves the dead body there, so you hear that scream coming from off camera. It hurts you, and maybe it's also because like I have kids, so like my brain goes there. But like in terms of mixing grief and dread with fantastical elements, this movie does really well at it. And I think that's why people really come back to it, is like this is really terrifying stuff. But I also see, John, why maybe you don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, I do like this one a lot more than Midsommar. But
I've never seen Midsommar, and I have no intention of seeing Midsommar because everyone, their mothers, told me how much they hate Midsommar.
Okay, guys, I got a lot of people that are like, that movie fucked me up.
Well,
Like,
maybe it's because I talk to you and you tell me you hate Midsommar. So that might be why.
But I will say this, though, in defense of that movie, the fact that Toni Collette didn't get nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, my God.
She's unbelievably amazing in that movie.
Yeah. She takes it from so many different levels of acting capabilities. Like, it's insane. Going from, like, just a mother and a family that really is just, like, they kind of hate each other to, all the way to, like, confrontation with the son, confrontation with the father, like Gabriel Byrne, and then just going 180 to like insane. Yeah, is the fact one, I know why she didn't get an Academy Award nomination, because the Academy hates horror movies.
Yes,
that's pretty much it. But yeah, Hereditary made my list. Revenge. Did you ever see Revenge?
I have not. Okay, wow.
This is a good one. This one was on Shudder when I saw it, and it's basically this premise of this woman who's like fooling around with some guy that she meets, and basically they end up like trying to kill her. Like this guy, and on top of that is like Goon Squad try to kill her, and she survives. So the whole movie is like she's getting revenge on all these assholes. And it's it's very gory, it's very gritty, but it's not done in a way that is dour.
It sounds like a mid-70s grindhouse kind of
It's very
feel.
much. It kind of almost has like a Last House on the Left type deal.
Yeah.
But it's really a solid film, and you end up like rooting for her as she's putting these people through more and more horrible situations.
Yeah.
But really good one. It actually was one that caught my interest on Shudder.
I just looked it up. I've added it to the
good.
watch list.
You'll like it. It was pretty decent.
Yeah.
The next one I have, I don't know if you saw this, was Ready or Not.
Oh yes. Awesome movie.
Yeah, so good. So this one is basically hide and seek.
Bloody hide and seek.
It's bloody hide and seek.
Yeah.
It's so good though. And they don't even just like, you could easily go like, all right, it's an eccentric family that plays an eccentric game but they add so many different layers to it. Like the whole fact that if the family doesn't do this sacrifice shit with hide and seek, they all go to hell.
Yeah, they're all gonna blow up.
They all go blow up, and that they've been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
So like that sort of premise is awesome for a movie, and then you couple that with Samara Weaving in this, and she does an awesome job in it as the main protagonist in it.
What, you mean Margot Robbie?
It wasn't Margot Robbie.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. Shut up.
That's what I saw. Scream 5, whichever was in Scream 5. Yeah, and there's like she's the Ready or Not lady's in there, and when I saw
Samara
her-
Weaving.
Yeah, and I saw her. I'm like, wait, is that Margot Robbie? I'm like, that's not Margot Robbie.
You know what? You know what's funny
Yeah.
is when I was watching Babylon, she's in it. They both share a scene together.
Just to confuse the shit out of
Yeah,
us.
you got Margot Robbie in there in one scene, and then Samara Weaving plays like another competing actress, and they both show up. You're like, holy crap! It's like looking into a mirror. but no, I love her in this. She's great. It actually adds a lot. She adds a lot of levity to it. But it's a unrelenting movie. You know.
Well, what's interesting about our list, and Brian, I do gauge us as fairly much experts. I would hope, I would think.
Fairly much experts. Yes.
Is we've picked either like extremely intense artsy fartsy horror movies or comedic horror movies. And is that really where? Is there no middle ground with horror these days? Is it like crush your soul, sad, thoughtful, or is it funny?
I think it's both,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I really think it's both. I think it's one of those things that, you know, you depending on the mood you're currently in, you might want one or the other.
Yeah.
There are often times where I'll be looking at movies on the streaming and go like, yeah, I've seen this one and this one looks good as a horror movie, but I might just not be in the mood
Yeah.
for, say, something extreme. I might want something that's more on the lighter side of things, which that's fine. There's room for both. Just like there's different types of ice creams out there. There's different types of varieties of horror. Werewolf never falls into that category, though, because honestly, I'm sorry. I don't really care for werewolf movies as much.
Oh, their wolf, their castle.
Yeah, werewolf. Werewolf, yeah. So my last one is one that we saw here last year, and that was Pearl.
Pretty great. Yeah.
Fucking awesome movie. I still tell everyone, like, if you haven't seen Pearl, you really need to see it. Because, one, it introduced me to, blanking on her name, the main character, Pearl.
Yeah.
But you know, and I saw Infinity Pool, too, which that's an honorable mention. Did you end up seeing Infinity Pool?
Yeah.
That's an honorable mention, too. But, you know, I loved... If you just saw Pearl by itself and you didn't see X, you'd still get a lot out of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's funny because I did see X, and I thought to myself, why is this old lady so goddamn horny all the time?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know.
Why does she feel like so lost and sad? And it's like, oh, we'll give you a whole prequel. We'll tell you.
Yeah.
We'll feed you, baby birds.
But I think I loved it because it expanded that. One, I hadn't seen X prior to this. I saw X after. I literally, like, after we saw the screening here, I went to the hotel I was staying at and watched X because I wanted to see more. And I ended up liking Pearl more than X because it just gave this character a lot to do. You know, it gave her a lot to do. And you really saw someone transition from someone who's more or less like, maybe there's something going on there in the brain, but she's not malicious. Right? But you see the circumstances over the course of that movie slowly turn someone from who's maybe quote-unquote normal to some degree. Maybe she has delusions of grandeur of being an actress in Hollywood. But, you know, she slowly gets more and more disappointment over the course of that movie that it drives her insane. And I love movies that do that. I love movies that are more character studies than anything. It's why I love Joker. Because that movie is also a character study.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, by the time you watch Pearl and then you watch X, you kind of know, like, oh, this is why she's doing what she's doing in X.
Yeah.
Because she's so fucked up from the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still love it. It's one of my favorite. I'm looking forward to seeing Maxine. But at the same time, like, half of me is like, well, that's that character that she played in X, 10 years later.
Yeah.
How good is it going to be? So,
yeah. I mean, if you don't get your hopes up, you can't really lose anything.
that's true. That's true.
But this movie that you just mentioned here too, it's very much an homage to the very beginning days of film.
Yes.
And I know people are like, Hollywood just likes movies that are about movies, and I'm like, yeah, but so do I.
So do I. So do I. Like, I
Yeah.
mentioned Babylon for a reason. Like, that's
Yeah.
because I really like that movie a lot. But yeah, you're right. Like, maybe it's because like we are film people.
Yeah.
Then we appreciate film, and we appreciate film history, especially that seeing a movie that puts everything, this horror movie, through the lens of a 1930s Technicolor film
Yeah.
is great. And the color in this movie is bright, saturated, and it has that feeling that you're watching like the demented version of The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what
Yeah.
it feels like. And I'm there for it. Like, I saw it in the Warner Theater, and I was just like, man, this is so good.
You mean the Warner Theater that's the host of the Erie Horror Fest?
Yes.
Happening right now.
Happening right
unless
now.
you're listening to this 6 months after we recorded it, which you very,
You
very
may
well.
very well way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may be the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my list. There clearly were other ones, but I got a question for you.
Yes.
Where do you see horror going the next 15 years? Since we talked about the last 15 years.
So I think, as I asked you just a second ago, I think it's either going to go funny satire or incredibly morose. I think those
Really?
are. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get like Night of the Creeps in the future, or Gremlins, or something that's like not necessarily a comedy, but it has like fun elements to it. I think just fun horror. I don't think we're going to be seeing much of that. I think it's either going to be comedy horror, or you want to kill yourself while watching it horror.
Well, I mean, I think that there's tracks on it.
Mm.
That's what I kind of think. I think if you're going with like the major studio track,
Yeah.
It's going to be, unfortunately, more of these requels. I think they're just going to.
Requels.
I think they're just going to keep chipping away
Yeah.
at that because they have no fucking clue about what people actually want to watch.
Yeah.
I think also in that studio track, you will have more of a push of these comedy horror movies.
Mhm.
I really think that the Happy Death Days and the these types of movies that really bend the genre a bit.
Yeah.
I think you are going to have more of those. But I do think there's room for those elevated horror movies, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as much as it is currently. I think for like every Nosferatu remake that we're going to get, because that's what's coming.
From my boy, though.
From your boy. I don't think that is going to be as much of a push. I think the A24ification of horror will continue, but I don't see it lasting as long as, say, more of the comedic route.
It's hard when A24 and Blumhouse own 90% of horror movies we see.
Yeah, that's why I said that's the studio track. Now, one thing I didn't mention was the indie route. Where I see indie horror going, more specifically, is nostalgia and homage. I really think that it's the people that are our age and even younger that grew up with horror movies in the late 80s, early 90s. They're starting to take those and make homage, nostalgia films out of those. Just like a couple of years ago, you saw people doing that with the 80s movies, right? Where every horror movie that was coming out had like an 80s bent to it. I think that's going to continue, but I think it's going to be more the 90s.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right.
But yeah. Good picks.
Yeah.
Really solid picks, John.
I'm
solid
glad you gave me something to watch as well. So I'm going to check out Revenge in the near future.
Revenge is really good.
Yeah.
It's a solid film. So, John, where can they find you at on the internets?
Over at the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook, on the email.
You're on the email.
Yeah, I'm on the email. Yeah.
The email?
Just the email, the one
Just
email.
the email.
Because everybody's just like your last name at email.
It's just yours is just the email.
Woolscroft at email. Yeah. And over at JDUBS Video Nasties. So just check me out there on my YouTube channel.
Awesome. You can find me at Brian Carrington on the Twitter, fucking X. I'm also at Psycho Show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also find us on the TikToks for our Gen Z and millennial folk We are there at Cinema Psycho Show. Go hang out with us. Watch some of our little mini videos that we put out, which are pretty fun. I like doing those. You know,
Tiki-talk.
Yeah, the Tiki Talks. If you want to talk about some of the the movies we've discussed today, come join our Discord channel. The link for it's in the description of this episode. I'm really trying to grow that channel out just because like it gives you all a platform to like tell us what you think of the episodes and just share your points of view on the things we cover, you know?
If you hate me for shitting on Ari Aster, let me know. But try to be nice.
Try to be nice.
I'll be
Although
nice
I think
back.
Right now you're not on the Discord, John.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
still aren't. So
Yeah.
you're going to be yelling at me, which that's fine. But you know, I'm not the one.
Then Brian will message me, "Hey asshole, get on
I would
Discord."
say, hey,
so
asshole,
they
get on
leave me
Discord.
alone. Yeah.
You can also contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com if you want to do that. And be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts, specifically at cinemapsychoshow.com/follow. And we will see you next time.
Well, I got a new number one favorite. I'm looking into the future to
Okay, what's the
Scream 8,
Fuck.
Ghostface in space.
You just gave them an idea.